Hello and welcome to Ginger Prime. My name is Brian if you're new around here, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back Soul Nation. You are smashing today. Thanks so much for checking out today's video, in which we're going to be reacting to Bellular's Clips video, Blizzard's numbers are dropping. If you guys haven't been following the news, it's not necessarily all pretty, but overall there's a reckoning being had. And I think especially with the numbers dropping and with revenue, gamers are sending a very clear message to Activision Blizzard. Whether this works out in gamers' favor has yet to be seen. This is Activision after all. And so my hope is that we'll see with the changes they're already making to the leadership, that we're going to see a better and brighter future for Blizzard games going forward. But as always, we'll have to wait and see how that goes along. And this is the news, essentially, according to Bellular and Bellular Clips. The links will be in the description if you want to watch his video without my commentary. But let's go ahead and dive in to Blizzard's numbers are dropping.
Now, there are other things to talk about. Let's do the earnings call.
Let's go.
So, okay, look, we've already covered a bunch of this on the news channel, but there are, there's plenty to talk about here just for like the games.
Yeah, especially Blizzard wide, because we did focus specifically on the money part of it. But
yeah, so what to know? Well, 26 million MAUs. That's down 1 million from last quarter, even though...
So MAU is monthly active users. We've seen a massive shift in terms of like subscriber count reporting. We haven't seen that issued, and especially like even with like Xbox and others, like everybody shifted into this active user, whether it's the DAU, daily active user, or in this case, the monthly active user. So right now, Blizzard has had 26 million monthly active users in this case.
TBC Classic launched and patch 9.1.
Yeah, yeah, we covered this in the news video as well. But the real spicy number here is that 26 million monthly active users is the same as Q1 2016, which if you've got a half decent working memory, you'll remember that is before Overwatch launched, and also in the middle of Warlords of Draenor's content drought. That's how bad it is for Activision Blizzard. Well, how bad it is for Blizzard specifically.
Okay.
They have undone 5 years of growth.
Wow.
Yep.
Straight up.
Sure have. Even though it's like they're back to there, but they're achieving that same number with more products.
Yep.
Which is not the best sign.
Yep.
So if we actually dive into the numbers then, and it's fun because I forget where you got it from, but there's the whole thing of Overwatch having 10 million MAUs at a point. Yeah. Which then means you subtract that from everything else, and oh dear, it starts to look worse.
Well, you know, if we go off of that assumption of 10 million for Overwatch in this regards, and then you're at 26, so that would be 16 million spread across World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Diablo, and WoW Classic. So most likely you would combine WoW and WoW Classic into one. That's actually what we've seen in terms of like our estimate numbers that like MMO population will do. They'll look at many factors as to talk about kind of that engagement, which tends to drive some gamers crazy because they want official numbers, which they'll never have, and no one's going to report on. But at its core, I think essentially this is really interesting to see at that. Now, is Overwatch at the 10 million MAU? That's hard to say specifically. As somebody who's kind of followed that game for a while, I know it really had a peak, and obviously 26 million before Overwatch. You would have to think that when Overwatch was added, when all these things were happening, you're talking about a massive drop in monthly active users. But beyond the drama, beyond the issues that Blizzard themselves has had as of recently, beyond the delays in content, all of that being related, by the way, like all of what we've seen over the course of the years is interconnected to a degree. I said it even before all this lawsuits and stuff came to light, I was like, Blizzard has a leadership problem. I think I said that multiple times. And even talking about my just going to play Shadowlands, not being a WoW player, checking it out for the first time and not liking the game. Somebody was like, oh, you didn't play like all the previous stuff? Your opinion's not valid. I go, it's as valid as yours. It's as valid as yours. Like, as long as you can set the context of where somebody's coming from, if you want to try to discount somebody's opinion, I think you need to look in the mirror. I think you need to look into why you're having to try to find a reason that you should say, oh, your opinion isn't valid. I think that's ridiculous. It's a different subject. I don't know where that came from. Maybe I'm just a little bit frustrated about that, but let's go ahead and continue. But Anyhow, like we do know from the earnings call, there are some things that are on the way. And Vicarious Visions, the team behind Diablo 2 Resurrected, which I think will overall be an interesting study, just a test case to see, like, is it okay to support Blizzard as a company in the long run? So you guys can let me know the answer to that question, because it's such a personal answer. So sound off, let me know where you feel. I can't currently not support Blizzard because I'm not supporting them. Like there's no financial move I make that literally sends that message. I sent that message in the spring, and so I'm sitting here just kind of on the sidelines waiting to see kind of what everybody does.
Yeah, that was October 2020, so it's probably maybe closer to maybe 7 or 8 million now, but yeah.
So, number one, a bit of context here, everyone. This is all during COVID. Most game companies experienced growth in COVID because the fuck else was anyone going to do? And you'd especially think that an MMORPG would do well during COVID. Well, I think pretty much if you go back to, this quarter last year, they're down 6 mil, right? That's a lot. So if we look here, and you can see how they can carefully construct their messaging to make it all seem like it's going good.
Their investor narrative game is real strong.
Yeah. Now they cannot escape that number. They cannot escape 26 mil. But World of Warcraft net bookings grew again a double-digit percentage year over year. So that is Q2 of 2021 versus Q2 of 2020.
Yep.
Now, what was going on in Q2 of 2020? Because Visions of N'Zoth was Q1. Nothing.
Nothing like...
Basically nothing. Okay, so we're up a double-digit percentage year over year.
Which classic phase was that? Was there a classic phase launch there, I think? Maybe,
probably. But, I mean, a phase launch isn't a massive
phase launch
thing, right?
versus...
So,
Burning Crusade.
Double-digit.
I know
that
Chris
could be,
was
we're
really
up
excited
100%, or no,
Burning Crusade.
99%.
Yeah.
Or it could be 10%.
Or it could be 9.5% rounded up, like...
Oh yeah, I suppose they didn't clue us into decimal places, so that would be so funny. They're up like 0.
Let's actually look that up. What is net bookings? Let's see if that's a common term. Definition: finance. Net bookings means the incremental amount of annualized cumulative bookings added per year. Finance. See if it's different here. Value NVP means the carrying value of an asset derived by reducing the purchase costs by the accumulated depreciation. Are there any finance majors here in chat? Because that's such an investor term.
No, so look, they're up somewhere 10% or more, under 99%.
Yep.
Point is, though, this is a Q2 with a major launch with Classic versus a pretty empty Q2 in 2020. So that's obviously not good. Subscriber numbers and hours played were higher following the release of the Burning Crusade Classic. I should hope so.
I couldn't believe when I read that. I was like, that
Really?
goes so against logic. Release game, people play it. What? I mean, I think like, to be serious for a second, I actually think that if they are going out of their way to type subscriber numbers and hours played were higher following the release, that shows they have fuck all else to say.
Yeah.
Nothing else to say. So I think that's a real good point to like keep in mind when you're like reading through these things. It's always, they will tell investors everything that's good. If they have nothing to say, it means they have nothing good to say.
Yes.
He's very right in that regards, because when you're like, they're beholden to the shareholders, they're beholden to the investors, and they want to have that information available, and you want to try to present it in the best light possible. And that's where gamers have the real impact, both on the finances and on time. There's a debate. Should you play Blizzard games? Should you support Blizzard games? And my stance on it is I'm not going to tell you what you should do. You need to look and evaluate that for yourself. But if you want to have the biggest impact, the answer should be yes. If you want to send the message, you shouldn't play the games because they're tracking those monthly active users. The more that goes down, the more people will sweat. Now, just to continue to reiterate this thought, because I will continually see it in the comments, but it's Activision. They'll just kill Blizzard. That's a chance. That's a possibility. That's always been a possibility. I don't think that's going to be what happens. However, like, there's one of two outcomes. Either the company gets better, they make better games and the gamers win, or the company doesn't. And there's also where I fall on the line of, should you support the good people in Blizzard? There are good people there. There are good people there, hands down. You can't designate how your money is spent. Once I hand my money to Square Enix or another company, I don't own that money. I cannot go and call. The only way I can is be a part of like an ownership, like own stock, attend calls, ask my questions, vote, and things of that nature. But if you pay for that service, like, they can use that money however they want. And when we've seen what they've done is they've hired various law firms and attorneys and things like that, right? So I'm going to say the choice is always up to you. However, I would definitely, hope and encourage you to consider the fact that your money is going into their hands and they're choosing to use it, probably even against the things that you want. That's not to say that this will always be the case. The new leadership they're putting in is a good step. I still expect more leadership changes over at Blizzard overall once Mike and Jen get kind of their hands on it. I actually do think that the dual system could work out really well, and it will be a really interesting case study, especially in this industry going forward. Because, and I've even seen today on Twitter, somebody talking about how they were harassed at Square Enix. Now, people might not necessarily be so interested in that story or more, because Square Enix is right now on top of the game. Shadowbringers is great. Don't ruin my fun, Brian. But these are real stories and real people. And that's the thing. These companies are run and employing human beings. And there's going to be drama and issues that arise up. And it's a part about the fact that a video game even exists, knowing everything we know and all the struggles and all the time it takes to just make it happen, that companies are even willing to make that kind of risk and investment. The payoff is great, but the risk it also is pretty substantial. So I have a lot of hopes. I think essentially the duality there could also lend benefit to better reporting and better understanding, better communication, being able to address issues before they become issues, to be able to correct actions before they become that, and also to hopefully empower the devs to make the best games possible. That's why I think that the issue, beyond what we know now publicly, was always a leadership issue. Is that I would say, like, I'm going to bet that a lot of people spend days in meetings where nothing can get decided, nothing can be agreed upon, because of all the different things that have to be considered when doing anything, and that becomes very frustrating. That becomes very bureaucratic and not about what makes game design and making games so much fun and so much to enjoy with the community. We've seen it also all over Twitter. Honestly, I'm surprised that Activision Blizzard lets any of their devs say anything on Twitter. That seems to be a weird source of information that we get about the company when you compare that and contrast that to anything outside the company. So I'm going to leave it at that. Like, I just very curious.
For our second line, World of Warcraft remains on track for much stronger engagement this year than is typical outside a modern expansion year.
Oh, and Chad is saying, so if MAUs are the same as 5 years ago, does that mean that they're actually getting more sales per person right now? Yes. In fact, they've seen subscription numbers drop. They've seen all these things drop, and yet they've made more money because essentially the people that they're keeping are the whales. And that's kind of where you start to see World of Warcraft and people label it as a pay to win game, but also at the same time where it's a whale hunting game. If you're going to not spend money, they're not necessarily so much interested in your opinion anymore.
What did that mean?
What does that even mean? Because I mean, it's obviously going to be less than BFA and Classic.
Yeah,
it's obviously going to be less than that.
Yeah.
So you're just comparing to previous.
Yeah. So are they?
Right, so.
I know what they're doing. They're saying typical outside of a modern expansion year because there's no modern expansion year that has no time outside of a modern expansion that has high engagement. Right?
Yeah. No, it's basically just right. Here's what it's basically saying. This is better than the patch 7.2 quarter. 7.2, I think, was Q1, but you get my point, right? Just no expansion coming out this year.
Yeah,
a year of patches. Yeah, of course, I would hope a major.
It's not even a year of patches.
Is it better than typical? So then when we move in Hearthstone, they say that Forge and the Barons delivered expansion over expansion, net bookings growth for a second consecutive release. From what I understand there, Hearthstone had like severe health issues.
I believe it did, yeah.
As a game, and they are basically trying to claw that back. I must admit, I am not, close to the pulse of Hearthstone, so I couldn't really tell you.
Me neither.
They then said that with the latest expansion, United and Stormwind launching today, and Mercenaries, a new mode of popular role-playing, in the popular role-playing genre planned for the coming months, we expect the financial performance to strengthen in the second half of the year. Yeah, cool, fair enough. I mean, by all of your accounts at least, they do cool shit in Hearthstone. It seems like there's stuff I need to go look up.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Hearthstone, like if you just go back to Hearthstone every 6 months, there'll be some great content for you to enjoy for free. That's what I've noticed recently. It's fantastic. Even the earlier stuff where they have, you can rack up quite a bill if you buy all of the old adventures. But even the new stuff like the Book of Heroes, the Book of Mercenaries, that's all really good stuff. Like really good Warcraft-based storytelling that I'm having a lot of fun with. Even just dabbling a bit. And it's, honestly, if like I look at their lineup and I'm like, I feel like Hearthstone's the best thing they're making right now. That said, I'm not a huge Diablo fan, so I don't really care personally too much about Diablo 4. And Overwatch 2, I'm not super hyped on anyway. But I feel like, they're actually kind of knocking it out of the park with Hearthstone. At least as far as I can tell. I don't engage with it competitively because
PvP,
I'm not going to buy a load of boosts or grind a load of cards.
Like for me, in Hearthstone, I enjoy any of the single player stuff.
Yeah.
Or Arena. Just because I just enjoy the draft. I think it's like a neat way to play. Not that I'm the biggest fan of the monetization of it. Yeah. That said, you could also say, I'm just not good enough for the monetization to be in my favor. If I could just win more of those arenas. Okay, Diablo 2 Resurrected coming out September 23rd. Big thumbs up. So very happy about that. Diablo Immortal. Delayed. Next year, half one.
Man, they announced it so long ago.
It's received excellent feedback in its gameplay. I have heard the very same. And
the problem with the Immortal, and I said this right at the start and I say it today, is the fact that it's mobile only. Like, why is it, just cross-platform? Yeah, it's a mobile game, but why not let people play it on their computers or on their, like it seemed like it's such a perfect game to be everywhere. Like, Genshin Impact, like Fortnite, and then the fact that it's like mobile only and that it's still not out. How many years ago was that? 3?
It's that weird thing, right? Genshin Impact. Fucking banger. Great game. Really is. I was shocked.
He's mentioning Genshin.
Initially expect, this is going to be some gacha.
Bullshit.
This is just going to be a gacha clone of Zelda. No, not at all. That's absolutely incorrect. Great game. And, I just obviously avoid the monetization bit.
Yeah. I haven't spent a dime on Genshin. Not a dime.
I have there. And with this Diablo Immortal, I mean, by all accounts, it's actually a good game. Now, if I can just hook in a little gamepad and there you go, I could play a little bit of Diablo on the go. Not that I do that often anyway, but it's just, will they fuck it up with monetization? That's the big thing. Because it seems like what they actually have got is a very successful translation of Diablo over, to the mobile format. And you know what? Yeah. Put a controller onto my iPad, bam, good Diablo experience. Could play Diablo Immortal, have as good an experience as just say me playing Dead Cells on my iPad, which I've done and has been a great experience. It's just, will they fuck it with the monetization?
Yeah, probably.
I do not know. I don't think COD Mobile is like pay to win or any of that bullshit.
No, I think they've done a pretty good job with that.
So yeah, maybe, who knows? And then for Overwatch 2, they just said that they passed an important internal milestone in recent weeks. So that was basically it for their, their main big slide.
My goodness. So I hear that Diablo 4 and like even Overwatch 2 are closer than we expect. And I think that's a good thing. I think that, and I hope that those are good games, especially as it relates to the changes that they've made internally as a company. So we'll just have to obviously wait and see. I stand by where I stand, in that regards. I guess that's a weird phrasing of English, but welcome to the channel anyway. So obviously the choice is up to yours. I'm not going to sit here and judge you, even if we don't agree on what's the best way to communicate with Blizzard. But those, a part of the 26 MAUs, have, I think, right now the most power than anyone else outside that. And so it's really going to be up to them. Obviously, like, I think one of the challenging things that gamers have is that it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to sit here and lose focus and lose attention. There's a lot of really good games coming out. There's probably going to be things that we're going to be mad about in the coming weeks. That just is kind of the way the world works. There's just almost too much information to process. And sometimes companies rely on that. Sometimes they rely on just let it blow over, and the next thing that people will be angry about is sure to come down the pipe. And that's usually a strategy we see that kind of tends to win out in the long run. But ultimately, we'll keep following this story, and I'll keep letting you guys know my thoughts as we venture into this brave new world with Blizzard and Activision now fully, I think, in charge of the company itself. Anyway, like I said before in other videos, I wish Mike and Jen the best of luck. I know they've got their work cut out for them, and honestly, I don't think there's probably two better people they could put in this position to really see if they can't turn around the company and release games that Blizzard players want to play. I would love to see it. I think that would be good for gaming overall. But you can let me know what you think, what you feel, any and all in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care.